Hi, I'm Tara or Brady, and this is where I cook. Let's crash the kitchen. This isn't my home kitchen. This is the kitchen studio of Harriet Grace, the housewares brand my friend Nicole founded in 2008. But if I'm not cooking at home, you can often find me here. I'm not one of those people that on Sunday I can plan out what I'm going to eat on Wednesday. So instead, what I do is I prepare. And for me, that's having a lot of building blocks for meals that will take a little bit of effort later on the week and sort of setting myself up for success. And a lot of those things are in the fridge. One of the things I do is find a day to batch cook a whole bunch of grains or really strong staples. So in this case, it was roasting off some beets. We have some lentils and some brown rice. These will keep well in the fridge, and really fast ways to build a meal later on. Up top, we do a lot of homemade condiments. These are ways to add a ton of flavor. They'll last for a long time, and they'll also be able to switch up those basics that you have. So with the rice here, I can take the kimchi from the back and make kimchi fried rice, and then maybe add some of my chili oil on top of that and a fried egg, and there's a meal. This is garlic confit. I love having it on hand, not only for vinaigrettes, but also to stew alongside with beans, legumes, things like that, or just smash it on really good bread. By and large, I don't drink sugar in my drinks when it's coffee or tea, but I have one exception, and I keep a jar of it right here. This is a chai concentrate, a masala chai concentrate specifically. What it is a base of condensed milk, because condensed milk reminds me of my grandmother. And what you do is you warm this up, top it with steamed milk, and if you want a little bit of sprinkled, maybe a bit of ground pistachios on top, and it makes me feel warm and cozy, and on a dreary winter afternoon, it's exactly what I need. I do a lot of my cooking with cast iron, but I actually think you should have two different types. This is a lovely enameled wide brazier, and this is my favorite thing when I'm stewing something for a long time, where I want to build up that flavor slowly, let things reduce. And right now I'm searing off some sweet potatoes, which will get nicely charred and caramelized, but I'm actually doing it at a fairly low temperature so that fond will really build up. We'll get a lot of browning in the pan. So that is what I love an enameled cast iron for. I really have a strong belief in having some raw cast iron as well. And the thing is with raw cast iron is with this dark surface, and you can see that mine is kind of dirty and beat up from a lot of loaves over the years, it will give you that chestnut brown, fractured, beautiful crust. And you'll be able to achieve that easier and more consistently than you will with enameled cast iron. So I really believe that you need to have both. Now, maybe not everyone needs to have such a salt collection as this one, but I will say that there is a case for having a variety of salts in your repertoire. We have some pink Himalayan. We have it in a variety of forms here that has a really strong minerality to it. It's a very direct forward salt. We have volcanic black salt here, and then we also have an Indian black salt, which is actually almost more like a burgundy oxblood color. This is it in its whole form. And here it is ground. It has a sulfurous, really intense aroma, and it is often used in chaat mixes. And chaat mixes are spice mixes that are used for chaat, which is snacks in Indian cooking. Also here, you'll see kosher salt. This is a kosher salt, and then this is a kosher salt as well. And you can see that this one here has much bigger grains, and this one is finer. And it's rather fun to be able to experiment to see the effects that different salts can have on your cooking. Another favorite kitchen tool is a spring-loaded scoop or a disher. These can be used for ice cream, of course, but I also love them for any sort of portioning. So if you're doing muffins, of course, filling your muffin tins. Also for bake sales, I often use these to just drop dollops of icing on top of a cupcake and then swirl them with the back of a spoon. It's the fastest way to do it. And what I have together today is a recipe for chocolate chip cookies that is in my cookbook. When I had kids, it became evident to me that everything that I cooked for them at some point or another would become really their platonic ideal. So I really wanted to come up with what was going to be our definitive family chocolate chip cookie. One of the things that I think is the secret to the success of my chocolate chip cookies is the fact that it's made with a chopped bar chocolate. Chip-Its or any sort of chocolate kisses actually have a stabilizer in them. That's what helps them keep their beautiful kiss shape, which might be something you want. But in a cookie like this one, when you use a bar chocolate like this, or little discs or fèves like these Valrhona ones here, what happens is the chocolate will melt and ooze into your cookie batter. That will leave rivulets, and actually that melting action helps your cookies spread out more. So in my chocolate chip cookies, I want them big, I want them spread out, crackly with crisped edge. Melting chocolate does that for me. For me, the kitchen is sort of a mix between work and living. So I'm gonna show you a little bit about how I do my work in the kitchen. First things first, this is my kind of office, as close as I get to when I'm actually in the kitchen. First, I always have a day planner because I'm old-fashioned and I like things on paper. And then second is my phone, which might seem like everyone keeps their phone in their kitchen, but the thing I love mine for is actually using it for the voice-activated timer. When you have dirty hands, you can just call out a timer. It's a lifesaver. And the other thing for it is you can use it for conversions. I often will ask how many ounces is 4 ounces in grams, and it can tell me without having to stop or wash my hands. So phone timer, lifesaver. And lastly is my notebooks. I have kept kitchen notebooks even before being in the kitchen was my job, and it was my way of keeping track of what recipes worked, what recipes didn't, but then after a while I actually started using them as well to take note of events in my family's life, what I made, what it was from, who liked what. I started out wanting to have like fancy, beautiful books, you know, leather bound and gorgeous, but I found out what actually works for me is cheap and cheerful spiral bound notebooks because they can lay flat, they're a big page, so I can come back years later, which I often do, and add notes to an old recipe if I made it again. And they are honestly like my cooking Bible. My kids have sometimes come in and they've done, you know, practice homework and I have spelling lists. Or one day, one of my sons drew a picture of what his favorite breakfast would be for his birthday. So I have that drawing in here, and they're an archive of my family and they're an archive of my career kind of all put together. Right here is actually my grandparents' tiffin carrier from India. I love it for storage, and I love thinking about the picnics that my mother's family would have gone on with it and getting it all filled up and imagining what would have been in there. Well, now you've seen my kitchen away from home, and now it's time for me to get back to these cookies. Have a great day.